Good day, Tesla fans. Another video for you. This time I'm just going for a nice, easy drive. Nothing too fancy. It shouldn't be too challenging at all. The main challenge, obviously, looking out is just the weather, the fact that it's winter. We had a big snowfall not too long ago. They've had time to kind of clear it. It is still a bit sloppy, I would say, the roads in some sections, but you know, this is kind of the typical Canadian winter drive situation this time of year. Yeah, so we're just going to see how she does in this type of environment. You can really tell with the snowbanks, I find how it's trying to define the edge. Usually if it's like a very known painted line, it's a very deep red. The Tesla is very sure that that is one of its lane markings. But with snow, it's not quite as defined, so therefore it kind of goes in and out of the deep red as it's constantly trying to find out kind of where its edge is, which is interesting in Canada because as we get more and more snow, then the snow kind of creeps out onto the road. I mean, here's a perfect example. There should be a right turning lane here, but there's not because it's just completely covered in snow. So there is no turning lane anymore. So it's throwing up that harsh line now as it's more defined, which is good because it's not going to want to use this non-existent lane that's been taken over by snow. Big snow hills, big piles on the road here now, as you can see, as it's constantly trying to adjust kind of where it's left and right of our car. Yeah, it's interesting for me on how it kind of figures that out. Is the edge interesting situation here with the bus as we don't have a lane. Sorry, I didn't try myself and handle that perfectly. But yeah, so is the edge that it deems being the edge the actual snow bank, or the very light thin snow extending out from the snow bank? From my kind of experience, it's kind of reading the snow that's creeping out, not like a harsh bank, which kind of limits itself on what its usable lane is. It'd be nice to see at some point it being able to differentiate a harsh actual snow bank and just kind of light snow coming out of it. Kind of gives itself more room, but I mean, it's doing great so far, so it's working. Now I know I brought it up many times before, but I'm gonna say it again. Because the camera, the front-facing camera for that runs the FSD, is up so high where the rear view mirror is, it gets dirty a lot slower and a lot less than the rest of the windshield, which is great for FSD, that it'll operate in kind of dirty scenarios. But for me as a driver, and I guess you as a viewer, the time it takes for that to get dirty, for it to activate its automatic wipers, means that the bottom here gets dirty quite quickly. So just for the sake of viewership, I will, you know, clean the windshields here. And I'm not really sure how to fix it, or if they even need to fix it, but because the lower on the windshield you are, the quicker and dirtier it gets relative to higher up. It does create scenarios where I myself as a driver can't really see, but the FSD is still running, and you just kind of got to be like, I trust it, sure. But yeah, I mean, I'll keep bringing that issue up. And it is important to note that you must have automatic wipers activated for FSD to run. So you're just kind of stuck with that quote-unquote issue. As far as takeovers, inputs, besides me just cleaning the windshield for the sake of you guys watching the video, nothing. It did great. My main concern with winter is how it establishes itself in a lane with snowbanks, and how it's going to kind of do that. But it's done great. Here we got some crazy snowy areas, powers through, and it slips, so it asks for the takeover. And yeah, I mean, looking at my last video, you can see it really doesn't do well in roads like here. We'll try it again, but anytime the snow is completely covered, yeah, see, full self-driving may be degraded, obvious reasons, and yeah, slipping for sure. So takeover for that. Yeah, I mean, if you want to see more roads kind of like this, check out my last video where I just take it in depth. I know right now that it's not going to be able to do these roads. I do have fresh winter tires, but I am a rear-wheel drive vehicle. It's the rear-wheel drive Model 3, so I don't have the niceties of the four-wheel drive capabilities. So I do slip a little bit more than, let's say, the four-wheel drive Tesla, and that impacts FSD capabilities. It's just kind of one of those things. But as far as your kind of typical Commute FSD drive, yeah, I mean, it did really good. And I will try and get it to here with FSD just to kind of finish up the trip. But yeah, I'll wait to get a little closer, I think, because I just feel like it's going to slip for sure. It is nice that it does throw up the warning that I know, but like I touched in the last video, it's just a warning. There is no physical change in its driving habits at all. Yeah, cannot shift gear. Yeah, okay, so it does not like this scenario at all with that level of snow. So it is a takeover on my part to make this turn. Put FSD back on for the last little bit and see how it does with making this right turn. You can see how it has an issue with not wanting to commit to that lane because it feels that that lane is too small. So it didn't switch fully to the lane. It would have been nice to see it kind of half in that lane to kind of commit. But in the end, it made the turn safely. And that's kind of it. We've hit our destination. Besides that slight hiccup with the snow-covered roads, it did fantastic on your kind of typical Canadian winter city driving. And with that, I will say, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay tuned for more videos.